Hey everyone, Sean Clement here, and today we're going to be talking about this fabulous object right here. It's called the G-Force, and G-Force makes a 54-degree wedge, a 7-iron, and a putter, and they all have basically the same features in mind. Now, there are two basic ways that you can go about performing the task of a golf swing, or a chip for that matter. If you use a static way of doing things, like a surgeon getting ready for a surgery, so if I'm getting ready to sew some sutures into somebody's wound, then my body's going to be an absolute statue, and I'm going to perform a very precise manipulation so I don't mess anything up. And the lumberjack, however, or the person with a sledgehammer getting ready to, hit something into a railroad tie, well, if I immobilize my body, it's not going to work very well. So I have to heave that sledgehammer in a way that doesn't hurt my body. So I got to get the heck out of the way of this heavy object. This is a 6-pound sledgehammer. So I'm going to perform, let's say if I'm performing a task in this way, I heave the hammer and I let the hammer work its way through the railroad tie or whatever I'm trying to do. So I'm using the weight of the instrument to perform my task. Well, I could chip that way too. So I'm feeling the weight of the hammer, and I'm using the weight of the hammer to perform the task of sending the ball in that direction. That just happened to roll like 2 feet away from the flag. So when you're using the weight of the instrument, you got to get out of the way of that movement. So I can't manipulate this the same way if I could with a golf club. So if you're trying to manipulate the golf club, the brain essentially is going to freeze your body into a statue, and you'll get to hit yourself twice. So make sure you see my chipping videos and you'll get exactly what I mean by that. So it's either you get yourself a sledgehammer like this, or you get yourself a G-Force. Because if you take a G-Force and you try to push on it, well, this thing is going to wiggle all over the place. The only way that you can get success by using this club is if you use the weight of your arms and club to perform the task. What's the task? This is a dandelion in disguise. The hands are going to hang naturally in front of the ball. I feel the weight of the arm club unit, and I'm using the weight of my arm club unit to cut through the stem of the dandelion. So I get set up. I'm going to find a nice intermediate point to cut through. There it is. I'm going to that white flag. Feel the weight of my arms and club hanging in front of the ball. Use momentum to cut through the stem in that direction. So if I place the ball too far forward in my stance and I have to force my hands in front, now I have to push on it. And if I push on this, I'll miss the ball. So what's really great about this tool is you can't hit anything with it. You have to use momentum. So play the ball off the back foot so the hands are hanging naturally in front. Feel the weight of your arms and club hanging from the shoulders. Use that weight to perform the task. So you see how my momentum is moving all the way through. And it's going to be the same thing if I have to perform a longer pitch. So I'm going to bring the camera around back here so you can see from down the line what it looks like. Okay. See, there's my intermediate point. I'm going to stay just right edge of that. Feel the weight of the arm club unit. Let the weight of the arm club unit cut the stem in that direction. So you see how nicely the ball lands on the green and rolls up. If I have to push on it, you miss it immediately. This is such a good tool. Hey, oh, look at that. That could have gone easily into the hole. So I'm just using momentum. So it's like if I go bowling, if I did this with my sledgehammer, Notice how the sledgehammer swings in each direction nicely like a bowling ball. And notice how my body glides out of the way in each direction to allow that sledgehammer to move in that direction. So I let the sledgehammer move in that direction, and I'm letting the weight of the hammer move the ball in that direction. So I'm going to play the ball just a hair more forward because of this protruding hammer, and there you have it. So notice the distance control is not too bad. So if I needed to go further with this particular tool, the best thing to do if I wanted to go to the yellow flag is I'm going to do a little Goldilocks. And this is what you use for distance control. So I'm going to do a practice swing that I feel be way too soft. That should land right here. Here's the proof. So yes, I use momentum, and yes, I felt that it was way too soft. Now I'm going to use momentum that would be way too strong. So that's going to go way beyond the yellow flag. Momentum that's in between. I like it. So I let the momentum cut the stem in that direction. That was perfect. A lot of traffic on this chipping green here. Obviously, it's being well used here at the club. So feel the weight of the arm club unit. Use the amount of weight that I feel would be necessary. There you go. To go over to the yellow club or the yellow flag. So back to the white flag. Feel the weight. Let momentum cut the stem of my dandelion in a way that would go to the white flag. So that takes care of your chipping, and you'll realize that when you play with this club and you get into a more full swing, and this is what we're going to do next, we'll do some pitch shots. So we're going to have to close the face of this club because there's a lot of torque on the shaft which tends to open the club face. So when I hinge my wrists and move toward my target, now my hands are leading. You see how as the hands lead, it's going to open the face. So when I stay into a short pitch or a chip, I can go ahead and just use a slightly open club face. That's going to move in the direction I want. And if I go to a longer swing, I'm going to close the face, take my backswing fold hinge. Now I'm moving toward the target. You can see now with the hands more forward, that tends to open the club face. And that's what you're going to need to do, especially with this club because of how torquey the shaft is. But again, you're not going to be able to hit the ball. You're going to have to use momentum to perform a specific task. Cutting a dandelion stem is a fantastic task because it insinuates continuity. If the ball's your target, whack the ball's the end. So after you're done whacking the ball, you'll probably get whacked by the club as well. Versus cut through the stem in the direction I want the ball to go. That's going to change everything. So let's have a look. Before we head to the pitch shots, the full pitch shots, let me show you a few bunker shots. I want to make sure that you guys understand. Now this has a nice C grind off the sole of the club and some really nice bounce for bunker shots. So you open it just ever so slightly. And the goal, again, if you look at my bunker video, the goal is to send some sand onto the green using the sole of the club, very much like you're spraying some water with the sole, with your hand here. So when you're using the sole of the club to spray sand, then you don't really have to worry about the ball anymore. The ball's just a big grain of sand. So you can't force the sand out. So many of you are trying to hit the sand, scoop the sand, and you're doing manipulations with your hands, and that's going to make this thing just jolt. So we're using the weight of your arms and club to spray sand in the direction where you want the ball to go. So watch how easy it is to get the ball out of the sand. I got my club is hanging in the center of my stance, and I'm using the weight of my arms and club to spray sand onto the green where I want my ball to land. It's so easy. So my eyes are on the sand behind the ball, but my focus is on the sole of the club spraying sand onto the green where I want my ball to land. Let me show you from behind what that looks like. So there's where I'm going, that big tree. So I feel the weight of my arms and club. I use the weight of the arm club unit to spray sand toward that tree. So notice how easy the ball comes out. I'm just using momentum to spray sand with the sole of the club in the direction of that tree. So if I want less distance, I want to land it closer, I'll use less momentum. There you go. So there's that short bunker shot. And if I want more distance, then I'm going to use more momentum. But do not push, shove, or hit the sand. Use the weight of the arms and club to spray the sand farther. There you go. I got the ball to go all the way to the tree. So if you're using force, or you're trying to scoop or do anything like that, then this club is going to bite you. Versus let the weight of the arms and clubs spray the sand in the direction you want the ball to go. Same thing for flop shots. You can't rush a flop shot. You can only use the weight of that arm club unit to perform the task. So let's have a look at those pitch shots, and you'll see how easy that is too. Isn't this a pretty sight, huh? So we have our flags over here. Now from the building it's about 70 yards, so I'm thinking it's about 95 yards from here. I got an intermediate point, that blade of grass right there. Close the face. Now we're looking for a nice, wide, long swing to whip through that dandelion stem. Yep, that's perfect distance. So just a little to the right. There's my divot. So I'm going to stay left edge of that. Going to play that ball a little forward in my stance to give that a chance, just a hair forward to center. I'm playing it like a fade, but with a closed face. So gather. So that was a little bit brisk in the change of direction. And that's what typically is going to happen. So I'm going to change that direction even more smoothly. There we go. Awesome. No problem getting there. So this is a 54 degree, and I'm basically hitting this about my normal distance with it, just a hair over 100 yards. Gather. Right between the two red flags. Good. So it's allowing me to get through, and you'll feel the toe dig a little bit on this thing because there's going to be a lot of shaft droop, obviously. So you'll expect those things to happen, but the essential is for you to not, oh, is that perfect. See, I'm honing in on that on that sucker right now. Wow, that was flush. That right there was the exact thing. So you see, it took me about 5 swings, 6 swings to really get the hang of it. There's my intermediate point. And I just hit the sweet spot of transition. Almost. And you really, the brain gets a really good sense. There we go. Right over the flag. So, having some fun on the range right now, I'm closing the face about this much in order to get that face to square up nicely. And I'm really paying attention to my task. I see a dandelion stem. I'm using the weight of the club to cut through the dandelion stem. There it is again. There's 2 beautifully flush shots. And now I'm really getting a good sense of how I need to transition at the top of the swing to be able to use this tool to cut my dandelion stem. So enjoy your practice with this awesome tool. Very, very much encourage you, especially those of you who have very quick swings, very quick transitions. In the short game or in the long swing, this is fabulous. And they make a putter like this as well. If you feel that, you know, you're quick and jerky with that putter, well, there's no way when you're putting that you could, you know, so they got a beautiful two-sided putter, brass head, that is absolutely gorgeous, and it sits so beautifully, and you'll be able to roll some wonderful putts with that thing. So all the best, and enjoy that practice.